Hello viewers, welcome back to Candid Conversations with Ganesh Kuppala. Thank you so much for overwhelming response on the show. As you have heard from many social impact leaders on my show, today I'm really proud to bring another extremely important aspect of the society, and I have a doctor who has hold 25 plus years of experience in radiology. It's a very niche area, so I wanted to bring somebody who speaks about this specific area from a long time. I'm really glad to bring Sivakumar Manikam here today on the show. Hello, Sivakumar. Thank you so much for giving your time for us.
Hi,
and
Ganesh.
welcome to Candid Conversation with Ganesh Kuppala. Yeah.
Hi, Ganesh. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Amazing. So Shiva, I've been going through your profile and looking at all your work, and you have done tremendous amount of work with NHS UK, and prior to this you have done a lot of work in India as well and across the globe. I've seen you also spend some time in Middle East. So why don't we quickly get started with your background, where you started your journey, where are you originally from, and if you throw some light on your childhood and how you became a doctor.
Absolutely. It's quite exciting. So I'm quite happy to share everything.
Yeah.
If you permit.
Yeah.
So I was actually, my dad as a pilot, he was a pilot in the Indian Air Force. He was a fighter pilot. And so I was essentially born in the north of India.
Okay.
Although I hail from Tamil Nadu, but I was born in the north of India. My dad, every 3 years, they used to get transferred to different Air Force stations. So I had a very, very adventurous childhood, I must say. Pretty exciting childhood. Lots of opportunities to meet different people, different cultures, go around a lot, see the length and breadth of India, and traveled extensively. And that actually opened up my mind.
Brilliant.
And it gave me a completely different perspective of fellow human beings.
Yeah.
From a very child age, that wide exposure, it was phenomenal, and that is helping me till today. And I must say that it has helped me not only in my personal life, in my family life, in my profession life, networking. And now it's helping me so much in international networking, which I do.
Yeah.
I go around the globe. I give lots of lectures. I meet with people, both my fraternity and outside my fraternity, and I'm also involved with several other things. So I would say that strong foundation laid by my parents.
Okay.
It was phenomenal.
That's amazing. So, son of a fighter jet pilot, becoming a doctor. How did that happen? Like, I do have army family friends and all, right? So while you're growing up, you generally think about, okay, my dad is a hero for the nation. Though they also look into that kind of career path. So how did you move from that kind of background to being a doctor? Was it a childhood?
But as you rightly predicted,
Yeah.
as a child, your dad is your role model. So I wanted to become a pilot.
Okay.
It just happens, right?
Yeah.
Because you're growing up with them, you're looking at them every day.
Yeah.
So you want to emulate them. So, but my dad was somehow, he was very keen. He said that, look, I want you to do something different.
Okay.
Something which is probably more
Typical Indian parent, right?
which is probably helping the humanity more.
Yeah.
So he was erring on that side. But of course, being young, and then in those days, you obviously you take your parents'
Seriously.
words as something being preached. So you take it very seriously. So that's exactly what happened. And looking back, absolutely, I feel very proud. And whatever I'm doing, I have no regrets at all. In fact, I think that I'm in the right line.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's see, they call it in Indian spiritual themes, right? I mean, they call doctor as a god, right?
Parents always mean well for you.
Yeah. And especially the profession doctor.
Yes.
Back in I hail from India as well, and back home in India, there are two professions which are seen like gods, like given the acharya kind of impact. Your teachers and doctors are almost treated like demigods, which is an amazing profession. So what excited me looking at your while I was researching on your career and path and all that stuff. So you started working in Tamil Nadu, is it? Like
Actually, I did all my schooling in CBSE because that's the central government.
Yeah.
Indian Air Force. So I was throughout in Candid, which is called Central School. So we didn't have any issues because when we moved from one station to the other, it's the same syllabus. So, and again, being pupils of defense people, so we always given the preference in the school. So we So I finished my entire schooling there. And then that was the time when this 10+2 system was coming in. And Tamil Nadu was actually, most of the state governments were 2 years behind the central government in implementing it. So I had finished my 10th and then I came to Tamil Nadu. I did my PUC, which is quite a jump, which I saved 1 year there. I didn't do my 11th and 12th. Instead, I did my 10th and then I came and joined PUC in Trichy.
Just for the younger audience, there's no PUC right now in India, so they might get confused. It's almost like +2.
It's called yes. It was called pre-university.
Yeah.
Right now, it kind of corresponds to
the
11th standard. So in Tiruchirappalli. So I joined there in one of the colleges, and after that, I applied for medicine. I took the entrance exams. Those days, we had the entrance exams, followed by the interview. So we were the first batch, actually, to get into the medical college through a transparent written and interview process. So I was quite delighted to get into medicine, and I was very young then.
So was it like a standard medicine, like what they do at the moment? Like it's more like MBBS?
Yes, exactly.
That's a similar line you have taken.
So 5 years plus 1 year of post-surgency.
Okay. And when did you choose radiology as a specialism? Because it's quite exciting, especially in the last 2 decades. Shiva, you would have noted this. Back home in India, there is extensive increase of cancer cases and all. Radiology has become one of the core practice.
Absolutely. Before I go into my, the details of radiology, I would say that in the interim, it was not a straight jump from MBBS to radiology. So in the interim, it was again an interesting story. There was a very senior surgeon with whom I was very close, and then I actually was interested in doing surgery. So I was just shadowing him. I was working very closely with him, helping him, assisting him with his surgeries. And then he said, you seem to be, having that, the skills, definitely. But I personally would advise you to look into something very new, which is coming into the field of medicine. And I said, what is that? So he said that, why don't you do something? Why don't you consider taking it up as a subspecialty? Well, you can still have your dreams of surgery still on, very much on track. Why don't you just go to one of the top corporate hospitals in Chennai, in Madras? Those days it was called Madras, and undergo that training. So that modality was called ultrasound. And this happened in 1985.
So you're pretty much a pioneer batch.
Yeah, so I was very lucky to be trained by some top doyens like Dr. Suresh, who is in Chennai, who's actually a doyen of ultrasound. In fact, he was the one to introduce ultrasound to Tamil Nadu for the very first time. And I was the second batch.
Brilliant.
There's one more batch before me, and but I must really appreciate. And he was still like a mentor for me.
Brilliant.
Still very much in touch with him. Still he guides me, and we meet very often, regularly. And he's still so active. So he was the one who actually generated that interest in me, and I thought, this is amazing. You're able to see the inside of people's bodies. All these days we were just guessing, and we were doing clinical examination, but we were not having any objective evidence. It was all subjective. So, but then with ultrasound, it changed completely. So there's a lot of excitement. So I traveled extensively in Tamil Nadu along with my mentor, Professor V. Vardarajan. So he said, okay, Kumar, let's do this. We will start. We will go and create awareness about this modality. So ultrasound was so unknown then. So I traveled very extensively.
Sounds super exciting. Like it's almost like AI for today's generation. Right? I mean, somebody who did not hear much about like all the agentic AI and all that stuff that is coming up right now. So you have seen the similar kind of technology change in the field of medicine back then. Wow, that sounds really exciting. I have never met somebody who said, okay, we were the first one to introduce the technology, which is amazing. Sounds really, really
So the interesting was we used to go to all the Indian Medical Association meetings in different cities and towns. So I would have covered at least some 60, 70 cities along with him. We used to go have meetings and create awareness about we used to share PowerPoint pictures and share. We used to sometimes even demonstrate, take the portable unit and demonstrate to the practitioners. So we created a massive awareness. So that was a privilege, absolute privilege, which most of the people won't have it. So I would say that, I also participated in creating awareness.
Creating the
about
new field
ultrasound.
of...
Now, looking
yeah.
back, ultrasound is such a common, almost
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a stethoscope.
I know.
But I feel happy that I belong to that.
Because you pioneered it,
That
right?
era.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Brilliant.
So it's a
That sounds
huge
really exciting.
privilege
It is,
and
it
God's
is.
blessings.
Yeah, it is indeed. So from there, then you move to, your trajectory looks extensively interesting, because a lot of the doctors who were so prominent in the field of work back home in India, because it's okay, people do change careers because of various aspects, right? Move out of the country for different reasons and all, right? But you had extensive amount of journey from Tamil Nadu, then to Middle East, then to UK and all that stuff. So how did that happen? Like, was it a choice that was made by you, or?
So before, what happened, this ultrasound, because I was with some top people like Professor Arkat Gajraj, who was heading one of the top, Apollo hospitals when it was pretty new.
Yeah.
Then I'm talking about 1985. And so I had...
85 must be, they would have just started like a few years.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a time when, things were all catching up a bit and people were getting more and more aware about health and other issues. So, Professor Gajraj, having returned from the UK, was a massive motivator for me. And he was a top-class radiologist. Everyone knows that. And he was a global figure. So having worked with him, having been trained by him, was a massive privilege, along with the entire team. I'm eternally grateful to them for having given me that motivation. So there, I changed my mind to get into radiology. So I dropped my plans for surgery, and then I got into radiology, and that's how my journey started. I started with my diploma in radiology at Madurai, and then I got into MD radiology, which I did at Madras Medical College. And then I did my DNB in radiology from Bombay. So, and then I became a tutor in Madras Medical College soon thereafter, and then I became an assistant professor in Madras Medical College. So that was my journey in India. So it's a particular time when I decided to move.
Just to clarify, you must be one of those first few hundreds who heard about radiology.
I must say that we are only 3 MD radiology seats throughout Tamil Nadu.
During that time?
Yes.
Now things would have changed.
Oh, now it is like there are
thousands, yeah.
So, and you can imagine the competition, so it was very stiff. So, we had about roughly 250 to 300 candidates for those 3 seats. And all those 3 seats were at Madras Medical College. No other medical college had MD radiology then.
Yeah.
So I was quite privileged, so I got into MD radiology.
What an achievement. You're being really humble, but that's really a big achievement.
Oh, well, it's again, I would say that it was I just put my effort, but then whatever the outcome, something is beyond our control sometimes, and it's all blessings of everyone. And then that was the time when I was dilly-dallying with the thought that what I should do next. So, but in the meantime, when I was preparing for the MD entrance exams, because it's quite a tough exam, so I took a 1 year, almost like a break, and went to JIPMER in Pondicherry, and I was a junior demonstrator in anatomy because I wanted to prepare for my MD exam. So I was also teaching the students in one of the top central institutions in India, JIPMER, and so I had a privilege, and that anatomy helped me immensely in radiology.
Oh, okay.
And till today, it's helping me. There was 1 year of teaching the students. So since then, my interest in teaching started.
Okay.
Of course, the previous exposure, going and talking to everyone in the IMA meetings, was itself. Where I lost the stage fear. I was meeting with people. All that shaped me a lot, laid the foundation stone, which is helping me tremendously now.
It's very interesting. So one question, because I also belong to the field of teaching and I go to sessions as well. So the biggest challenge, if you have to call out, right? Especially when it comes to teaching experts, they may not be experts in your area, but they're experts in their own fields.
Absolutely.
So like you're talking about IMA and all that stuff. So when you go and talk to them, what is the biggest challenge for you? You're talking to people who are experienced, and you have to kind of express your views clearly in front of hundreds of audience. What is the top 3 tips, if you want to share as a speaker? What do you do before connecting it to the audience, especially when they're experts? What do you do?
I would say that, the most important is whenever I go anywhere, whenever I'm invited, or sometimes I myself volunteer. So I first see the audience. I see what's the cross section of the audience.
Yeah.
Then I decide where to pitch the session.
Mm.
What is their knowledge about health, about
Mm.
medicine, about
Mm.
radiology?
Mm.
Because it's pointless to be too technical
True.
to lay people or people who don't have radiology as their subspecialty. So I am very much mindful of that. And if you give me the same presentation, I can talk differently for different audience. So that's what I learned. Number one. Number two, I always see whether my talk will be of any benefit.
Yeah.
It's not going to. You're not going to share your knowledge and expose your knowledge, because if it doesn't help them, it's pointless.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. And the third and most important thing is I keep the continuity. It's not a one-time thing. I will keep that connection. I keep that networking, and then I grow further from there. So I don't have the habit of forgetting anyone.
Yeah, amazing.
And also to slightly correct you, I have done 40 years in radiology.
That's amazing. I thought it's only
Altogether,
25 years.
including my journey outside UK.
Wow.
In UK it's 25, but
Wow.
including my entire journey, it's 40 years.
4 decades of experience.
4 decades of radiology alone.
Wow, what an experience. And thank you for correcting me, because I was looking at my research paper and it was like showing me 25 years.
That's
You're right. So it's in UK.
In UK.
That's brilliant. So that's a very good segue to my next question, Shiva. Then, how your journey from like South Asia or Middle East moving to UK, because you moved here 25 years back, and back then probably the number of Indian doctors and all probably are growing, but it's not as significant or as like huge as today. So how was your journey? If you can please clearly explain me like your movement into UK and how you got, like, because you have seen, the reason I'm asking this question, because you have seen Indian way of working. There's a medical system that works. It's quite extensively different from the UK world of, NHS and all that stuff. So how did you fit into here?
I think before I moved into the UK, the Middle East was a stepping stone for me, which massively helped me to, get into the mindset of a foreign country.
When was this?
Which was in 92.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
long back.
Long back. And so that actually changed my mindset. So I said, okay, fine. You're working in a different country. It's a completely different system. You're working with different set of people. You're working with different kinds of devices. The rules are different. The laws are different. The standard operating procedures, the protocols, the guidelines. So one has to adapt himself to that. And that is not an easy thing. So I must be very honest. It was tough to acclimatize because, you have to fall in line. You have to do what the country wants, what the management of that particular country wants. So yes, that everyone. I'd like to tell all the youngsters who are probably watching this interview that if you are aspiring to travel to any foreign country, not just UK, you must ensure that you're mentally preparing yourself for all these things, because sometimes it happens as unfortunately people come with lots of hopes and ambitions and lots of dreams, and then it's a bit of a problem to adjust.
Correct.
It could be anything. It could be personal, it could be food, it could be the culture, it could be the people, it could be the language, and the weather. So you have to keep that in mind, be prepared for a big challenge, and come well prepared mentally, then automatically things are ready. You don't feel the pain.
Very well said. Yeah, very well said. Brilliant. So, specifically in terms of the medical systems, right, Sivakumar, if you can talk about that, it'll be of extreme interest for me, because I'm not an expert in the area of medicine, but as the consumer of the stuff, right? I mean, I have noticed significant amount of changes when you compare Indian medical system versus what happens in UK, right? I mean, the way you have been treated is different. The way, the fundamental structure itself is different, because there's a lot of private run medical organizations back home in India, though we have publicly run, but it's not prominently used. So it's mostly, and it's very easy to get to the hospital there. Appointments are easy. That's a different story. When it comes to NHS UK, it's completely different. The system is different. The structure is different, and it's a government body altogether. So how do you see the changes? Like, I mean, I don't need to know what is best, what is wrong, not. Both are different. But what is the biggest change you have seen in both the systems?
I would say that, this is a very good question. I must, thank you for that. It's just getting used to the system, understanding the system, because UK is the only country where you have a single system.
Correct.
We are networked with nearly 1,300 hospitals throughout the country, and there's the same system. Now, I can go from England to Scotland tomorrow and I can work without any problem, because it's the same system.
Yeah.
The units are the same, the equipments are the same,
Yeah.
the protocols are the same, so it's a lot easier. Whereas during my tenure in India, I found that it was very different. So different hospitals, as you rightly said, private sector, public sector, it's quite different between the two. And then even in the public sector, you have a certain way to work, and there's lots of educational opportunities, teaching opportunities, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So there are always good things, in every country there are.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy who takes the positive things
Absolutely.
from wherever I go, wherever I work. So I hate whinging.
Yeah.
As I just take the positive things and see what I can give to the institution rather than ask what can the institution give me. So if you have that mindset, you can gel in anywhere.
Brilliant.
And then you can do very well. You will be the favorite of the management. They will like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, I'm not saying don't complain, but I'm saying just understand the situation, understand the surroundings.
And contribute rather than.
And be positive always.
Yeah.
Less expectations and more output. You will be very happy.
Brilliant. What a note. That's a brilliant note. Because one of the biggest priorities of any government across the globe is health, undoubtedly, right? So education, health always sits on top priorities. And same with UK as well, like irrespective of who's in the power, but their priority is always NHS. What is the biggest thing that we see in NHS is kind of, you rightly mentioned the kind of network you have and the treatments, what very positively impressed me, because I've seen a couple of my friends going to the maternity, families going to the maternity. The way NHS treats, I must say this and I must applaud NHS for this. I lived in different countries. The way maternity care, the nursing care here is exceptional. You won't see this in another country, and which is amazing. I want to call out that, as you said, like positive stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And two, one more question in the field of medicine specifically, right? Because the technology, as you have seen, I mean, you are probably the testimony for all the technology changes. You have seen ultrasound, you have seen radiology, you have seen
the entire evolution
of various things, and you have seen it for 4 decades. How do you think the recent changes, especially in the machine learning, artificial intelligence, agentic AI, is going to change this?
Absolutely. But before I answer this question, I would like to take you a bit, back so that it's more connected. As you rightly said, I was a privileged generation where we saw the entire evolution of radiology. Right from having a film mounted on a simple view box, and then moving slowly digital, electronic, then filmless, paperless. I've seen the entire evolution over these 4 decades, and technology, the way technology was invading and coming into radiology. And very proudly I can say that as a radiologist, radiology is the only specialty where technology has maximum to contribute. And that should never be looked at as something negative. I would say that technology should be made, the best use of technology should be made for the sake of humanity, for the sake of improving care, for the sake of service, for the sake of patients, the quality of life will lead, the longevity, everything. And I was quite privileged to watch the entire evolution and be a part of it. So I kept learning newer modalities, like ultrasound was my first, and then came CT scan, and then came MRI scan, then came PET scan. So nuclear scan, which is called. And now we have the latest is hybrid imaging, where we're combining different modalities. So very recently also I've been to one of the top hospitals in India where it was the very first hybrid MRI. And then now we also have treatment-wise, we have proton beam therapy, which is called PBT. So radiology is now extending into treatment as well. So we are no longer just diagnosticians. So we are also therapeuticians now. So we are getting into therapeutics like we have a major branch called interventional radiology, where the radiologists are actively, undertaking procedures on patients, like biopsies and drainages and aspirations. So we're helping the surgeons.
Yeah.
So the roles are changing. Coming to AI, which will be your next question, but please go ahead.
Can I ask you a quick question? Because it's my personal connection to radiology as such, right? I mean, to be really honest, I'm being really honest here. I didn't know much about radiology. Unfortunately, in recent times, one of my very close family member had gone through this, the effect of cancer, right? I mean, which is when you will hear a lot about radiology.
That's really sorry to see.
But yeah, it's just unfortunate. But what I've gone through during the procedure is the importance of radiology and as you rightly mentioned, radiology is not about the diagnosis. It's much more. It's a theory. I mean, even the treatments, the process of treatment, and most of the element, like the chemos and the other stuff that goes through is driven by the radiology primarily. And they were talking about all this stuff. So if you want to quickly mention about what's the importance of radiology in the treatment of cancer, that will be amazing to hear.
Radiology has completely revolutionized cancer imaging, and especially with the AI, artificial intelligence, it's doing a lot now. So I will briefly tell you that.
Yeah.
So how it affects us is initially when we started all this cross-sectional imaging, so we were like more focused, more accurate in our diagnosis. We knew which particular organ is involved, and early detection. That's the bottom line. So all this technology is helping early detection. When previously, I must say that when I was a medical student, we were diagnosing most of the cancers in very advanced stages because we didn't have the imaging modalities in place to detect them early. But nowadays, we're picking up cancers so early that we can completely cure the patient. But again, there's two edges to this. One is the other side is the patient should be very aware. And that's why governments, whether it's the Indian government or whether it's the British government, there's a lot of emphasis on screening.
Yeah.
So people should have that awareness, health awareness. They should go for regular screening. Whenever they're called by their doctors, they should go for it, avail the benefits, pick it up at the early stage rather than, leave it until late and then suffer as a consequence of that, which is happening unfortunately still, but it has significantly reduced. So myself as a doctor, first, it's only then I'm a radiologist. As a doctor, my advice to everyone is, particularly for the patients, if any patients or even the others, non-doctors who are watching this interview, is prevention is always better than cure. So please focus on getting yourself tested, and we have the latest modalities, the best gadgets to pick up things very early. So that's what I would say. That's radiology is significantly contributing in that.
Amazing. I would ask you one more quick question there, because what I've noticed, again, moving into this country, right? The moment you move into this country, they ask you to do, for the women especially, the cervic kind of tests and all that stuff, right? Which doesn't happen in India. How important?
It happens.
It happens,
It's
but not as a
now.
mandatory test. You know what I'm saying, right? When you move into this country, it's a mandatory for every woman to go through the cervic test, which doesn't happen in India. I'm being very honest. But why do you think it's extremely important? If you can give me some stats, if you have. What is the rate of the cervic cancers in women? If you have details, it's.
As you rightly said, I don't have the exact figures on top of my head, but I can tell you that, as you rightly said, it is not like a mandatory thing because the system is very different. Here we all come under the single umbrella of NHS, where we are registered with a GP and you're constantly being monitored and surveyed. They have full knowledge about you, your health conditions, so they have the overview, so they know what to recommend when to call you for a particular test or for screening. That doesn't unfortunately happen because in India the system is so different. So I wouldn't blame anyone for that.
No.
It's just a system. But if there is a system where, similar to what we have like Aadhaar card, if there is a system in the health sector where we can monitor everyone is under surveillance.
Like a health card.
That would be my recommendation or suggestion. If I am given an opportunity to meet with the Central Health Minister or anyone in
He's coming here, by the way.
Thank you.
27th.
I'll be very happy to meet with him and just suggest, as someone who has spent 40 years in this field, it is just going to be a suggestion. But because we know the downside of all this, because leaving it until late and then wasting so much money and then patients suffering, all this end-of-life care, all that can be avoided. So more emphasis on that. So I think in India, I'm sure there's a lot of awareness and
There is definitely
a lot of corporate hospitals doing it already.
It has changed, definitely. I was speaking to, you probably know Mohan Vamshi, is one of the very well-known
Yes, I know him
specialists
very
in the cancer area. So I
know.
was speaking to him a couple of years back.
Yes.
And he told me that, most of the middle class or lower middle class or upper middle class people come to his place, and he comes out and speaks on the television as well a lot. But when they come to the actual screening, they're either at the stage 3 or 4. And what he mentioned to me in my private conversation with him is that, Ganesh, if I knew this, if they knew this,
Yes.
like a couple of years back, things would have been completely different.
Exactly.
And as you rightly mentioned, I want to recommend my audience, if you are not serious about your health, especially in terms of, a lot of these specific diseases like cancer, these can be avoided if you know them well in advance.
Absolutely.
And the way you treat them will change as well, right? Dr. Sivakumar?
It's not just cancer, but it's also like, other health disorders like,
Yeah.
high cholesterol, blood
Yeah.
pressure, cardiac problems. So everything comes down to screening,
Yeah.
early detection, because that can prevent long-term problems like stroke or cardiac arrest and stuff like that. So it's not just cancer. So I would say that, general health awareness is always great.
Brilliant.
And I would say that, we have to probably invest more. I would say I'll be very happy to talk to anybody who can do that, who's in an influential position to change policies at a state level or at a national level. I'll be more than happy to contribute.
I think that should be a pitch. I know you're going to India.
Yes,
probably.
I'm going to India, and also I'm planning to meet with the Vice Chancellor
Yeah.
and one of the universities. And I'm also liaising. You know that I travel a lot, not just doing teaching and guest lectures, but I also have been invited. I had the privilege to be invited by some of the policymakers. So which I'll be doing, and hoping that I'll be doing that both in Chennai and then in Delhi.
That's amazing.
But that's my long-term plan. I don't want to reveal too much before
don't.
before I achieve. much.
No, I can
So
understand.
I always believe in achieving and then discussing.
I can understand. So one more interesting piece that I have seen your research papers as well. I didn't understand extensively, but what excited me is the intervention of AI into medicine and the devices. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. You rightly pointed out, very interestingly, said that I'm always at the forefront of technology.
Yeah.
So when ultrasound came in 85, I was there.
Yeah.
And now I'm there again. So because any new technology intrigues me.
Excites you.
I'm excited, and because it's like a, deja vu for me. And I said, wow. I know that there's a lot of apprehension about AI coming in every sphere of our life. It's going to affect us in every little aspect.
Yeah.
So it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Because, there's lots of benefits.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of fear, unknown fear as well. That's purely, I would say, it's because of ignorance, maybe, partly. And the other thing is, I would say, it is because the awareness is not there. We have to create that awareness. And we people in the forefront of technology are the ones who can do that.
Yeah.
Apart from the engineers who are just giving us all this software.
Do you want to highlight which field of the medicine is going to be highly impacted by AI?
At the moment, it is radiology and histopathology.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
If you can elaborate, what does it mean?
Radiology, of course, it's all about imaging and how, in radiology, we are now detecting. AI is kind of reading the chest radiographs, chest X-rays, and picking up abnormalities. So the reasons are many. The number of radiologists throughout the world, the patient proportion, the number of population and the radiologists is very variable in the entire world. So the density of the people, the population and the number of radiologists, that is not matching most of the countries. So still there is a massive demand for specialist radiologists. So
I think that's something to be specifically mentioned about. Call out of action to all the students watching out there who wants to get into medicine. I think Dr. Sivakumar, you brought in very interesting statistics there. There's not enough radiologists.
No.
So if there is a element of intervention that is needed from from the authorities or the people who's looking into medicine as a field, probably that's the area you want to watch out for.
Absolutely, because again, it's a known thing, and then all the known bodies, the organizations dealing with radiologists are aware of it, and they're creating a lot of awareness, both in India, in the UK, everywhere.
Do you think is it because they think it's a diagnosis rather than a proper medicine?
I think one of the reasons is technology boom. Technology boom has created, like, the modalities have literally exploded, and we need the manpower to handle it. So I would say slightly it's on the disproportionate side, So probably when the technology comes in, like, you have to back it up with the manpower to handle it, and the pace is not really matching.
Yeah.
So the technology is definitely far ahead of the man. The men, we human beings are still struggling to catch up.
Yeah.
Because it's all available. Everything is available.
Brilliant.
But how are you going to put it to use?
Yeah.
And AI is also similar.
Wow.
There's so much in AI. But again, we in the health sector, still, there are lots of issues with AI. That's why AI we are not able to implement, like the ethics and the information governance.
True.
Lots of areas to be resolved. And although everything is available.
But you don't want to miss the bus as well, right? I mean, I understand I completely appreciate the part of due diligence, ethics, making sure that it's ethical AI, done it properly, right way. But at the same time, technology advancement should not be lost.
Absolutely.
Because of this, and that's where experts like you.
It's a fine balance. We
Yeah.
should not be carried away by the technological advancements and say, okay, fine, AI will take care of everything.
Correct.
We don't have to do anything. No, that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
I think I'll say that we have a word called AI assist. So artificial intelligence should be used as your assistant.
Correct.
It should not be leading you.
Yeah.
And it can't lead you
Yeah.
because, you know that AGI is coming, artificial general intelligence
Correct.
is coming
Correct.
after AI, which is going to do the thinking part.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we have to deal with AI.
Wow.
The next step will be AGI, which is going to be so almost like you're competing with a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it can do the thinking, it can do, can be empathetic to you. You're my for example, if you're my patient, I just give it to your AI, and it will
Can be Vasikar from Robo.
so it will do whatever a human does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will listen to your story.
Yeah.
It will also give suggestions. It will empathize with you. It will
Yeah.
feel sorry for you,
Yeah.
and it will say that, okay, why don't you do this? It will give you suggestions.
Yeah.
So that is coming.
Chitti, is
It's-
it? Like in
exactly.
the movie Robo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is not fantasy.
Oh, it's going to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but first we have to cope with AI, and then we move on to that.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I think AI is having some issues with proper implementation universally, and we have top bodies like FDA and NICE in UK which regulate
Yeah.
these things. So these bodies have massive responsibilities, and that's what they're doing.
Brilliant.
They are looking into all the minor details rather than just being super excited and getting carried away and say that, okay, let's implement AI. So most of the hospital managements and the top policy makers are looking into it very carefully all over the world.
Brilliant. So as one passionate technologist, and I'm also in the field of work, but I'm a finance guy, right? But yeah, AI is changing finance extensively. I'm sure AI is changing medicine extensively as well. But one quick thing as a closure, if I may ask you, Shiv, is how do you think technology is going to help better the lives in the space of medicine? Especially, are you positive that this will reduce the number of cases that is going to be done, or what's going to happen in down the line 10 years? How do you see this?
I'll tell you, in the health sector, AI is helping us not only with just diagnosis.
Yeah.
So that's only one part of AI. So it's helping us with patient appointments. So it is helping us with electronic staff records of the patient. So we're able to pull out the records of the patient immediately. And for example, if the patient has to be picked up from home by the ambulance crew, by the paramedics are already having the information about the patient. They don't have to waste time going into the history because it's already available to them.
Yeah.
All they have to do is just put the number and everything comes up. So this is massive advantage, saving so much time, so much resources. So the ambulances can be freed up for the next patient. Otherwise, this an ambulance being stuck with one patient for 3 or 4 hours is quite a drainage of resources.
Yeah.
So AI is going to have lots of positive things. The upside, amazing. And now sending out letters to the patients, calling them for screening procedures. Everything is nowadays being slowly moving to AI.
Yeah.
But again, we are having a human backup for that, and it is done in a very, very careful manner to ensure that there are no mistakes. But at the same time, AI is the best. We make the best use of AI.
Brilliant.
So that's what we are doing. Now, other than that, AI is also being used in different areas in the field of medicine. Like, it's not just radiology, all specialties, surgery, Of course, I said histopathology, which AI is now diagnosing, looks into the microscope and gives a pathological diagnosis. Now, for lay people, I'll say that, for example, you want to know it's a cancer, it tells you whether it's a cancer or not.
That's brilliant.
Just for the lay people.
Sounds super exciting.
It is exciting,
Yeah.
but that's not the end of it. There's still a lot of work going on, research and development going on, and it is getting slowly into ophthalmology, the eye care, going into surgery, robotic surgeries, as you know. Yeah, even it's going into remote surgeries, like, a surgeon sitting in New York can operate someone in a different country.
Brilliant.
So AI is quite wide. The
Sounds
applications
exciting.
are wide.
Yeah.
This is just in health. So
Yeah, yeah.
similarly, AI is affecting all other
Everything.
fields.
Yeah,
All
very
other
brilliant.
fields.
I think that's a very positive note to end our conversation. Thank you so much, Sivakumar. Is there anything that you want to close with, or I can?
Just a message
Yeah.
for the youngsters, particularly who are watching this, not just the young aspiring radiologists, but the youngsters in general. So, yeah, stop chasing titles and chase your purpose.
Yeah,
That's a very strong message which I would like to give.
very well said.
Stay hungry, but stay human.
Mm.
It's very important.
Brilliant. Wow.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity.
No, what a message. And it's my pleasure. I would love to talk to you for like next hours together, but I know you're busy and you're such a busy doctor. Thank you so much for your time. It's not easy to get such a specialist doctor's time, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm sure you would have learned a lot of this stuff. I think future looks promising. AI looks amazing. I think we're going to see really, really good changes in the medicine field of medicine and work. I mean, what Dr. Sivakumar has done in the 4 decades, I'm sure the next decade you will be working as well. Dr. Sivakumar, I want to hear more from you.
Sure.
Please do share with us what's going to happen in the next decade. I would love to share that with my audience. Thank you so much, everyone. Keep watching Candid Conversation with Ganesh Kuppala. Thank you. See you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Shiva.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.